Police today reveal they will speak to Michael Barrymore in the coming days after significant new information led to the arrest of a 50-year-old man in connection with the murder and sexual assault of Stuart Lubbock during a party at the star's mansion 20 years ago. Essex Police Superintendent Supt Morris said today that the suspect, who has not been named, was held in Cheshire after new evidence came in following the offer of a £40,000 reward when the Channel 4 documentary Barrymore, Body in the Pool, was released last year. The man remains in custody, where he continues to be questioned over the death of Stuart, 31, on March 31, 2001. Mr. Lubbock was found floating in the swimming pool during a party at 68-year-old Barrymore's luxury home in the Essex village of Roydon, attended by 8 other people including the Strike It Lucky host, who will all now be contacted, Supt Morris said. She said, "The man who was arrested in Cheshire continues to be questioned by our detectives. Following the arrest, we immediately notified the Lubbock family. This arrest is almost 20 years to the day since Stuart was found unconscious in a swimming pool following a party at a home in Roydon. He later died in hospital. The arrest comes after significant new information came to light following our renewed appeal for information and offer of an enhanced reward, which coincided with a major TV documentary broadcast in February 2020. This information has led to us making an arrest, and over the coming days we will be contacting all those who were present at the party at the time as well as others who may have information." She added, 9 people were at that party. We know that not everyone was responsible for what happened, but someone was. Now is the time to come forward, if you haven't done so already, to set this matter to rest, by providing us with any information you have. People present at the party, aside from Stuart and Michael Barrymore, included the star's boyfriend at the time, Jonathan Kenny, former dustman Justin Merritt and his sister Killy, chef James Futers, Barrymore's neighbour Simon Shaw, as well as friends Claire Jones and Kelly Campbell, 2 teenagers who met the star in a club on the night of the party. Today's arrest in one of Britain's most famous unsolved crimes came as Stuart Lubbock's death shocked Britain and ended Michael Barrymore's TV career overnight. The star, who made millions as one of the UK's top TV personalities of the 1980s and 1990s, has always denied playing any part in his murder. He has been reduced to playing Strike It Lucky live with fans on Instagram, and was last seen on TV during a stint on Celebrity Big Brother in 2006. A planned appearance on Dancing on Ice last year never happened, after he broke his wrist, and he was never invited back. A post-mortem examination showed Mr. Lubbock, who was a butcher, had suffered appalling internal injuries that revealed he was violently raped. Alcohol, ecstasy and cocaine were found in his bloodstream. Stuart was found floating in Mr. Barrymore's swimming pool, but nobody has been brought to justice for causing his death 2 decades ago this month. Detectives believe that Mr. Lubbock may also have been abused by a pool thermometer and outhouse handle that went missing after his murder. The initial investigation was deeply flawed after officers failed to secure the crime scene and assumed Stuart had drowned. Mr. Lubbock may have been fatally injured in the jacuzzi and then dumped in the pool to make it look like an accident. It has been claimed previously the timeline of events following Stuart Lubbock's death: March 31. Mr. Lubbock, 31, of Harlow, Essex, is found dead at Barrymore's home in nearby Roydon following a party. The entertainer is questioned by police. October. Barrymore accepts an official caution for drugs offences and allowing his home to be used for smoking cannabis. No further charges are brought. September. An inquest in Epping, Essex, records an open verdict on Mr. Lubbock's death. Medical experts tell the hearing that he had suffered severe internal injuries, suggesting he may have been the victim of a serious sexual assault. Alcohol, cocaine, and ecstasy were also found in his system. ITV also announces that it has no plans to commission any further shows from the star. September. Barrymore abandons a comeback attempt after the first 3 nights of his one-man show in London received bad reviews. December. Amid reports that he has received a £1.4 million tax bill, he leaves the UK to live in New Zealand with his long-term partner Sean Davis. May. Barrymore announces that he has filed for voluntary bankruptcy in the UK because of the unexpected tax demand. January. Barrymore returns to screens in the UK as a celebrity Big Brother housemate. He remains in the house for 3 weeks and as runner-up in the final poll, leading to speculation that his show business career will be revived. After emerging from the house, Barrymore holds a tearful 2-hour meeting with Mr. Lubbock's father Terry in a London hotel. Mr. Lubbock reportedly tells the entertainer he does not hold him responsible for what happened. Barrymore is said to have responded, "It haunts me every day." February. Mr. Lubbock's family is blocked from launching a private prosecution against the celebrity. A district judge in Southend, Essex, rules there is insufficient evidence for a hearing on 6 offences, 4 related to the misuse of drugs, 1 alleging drunken disorderly behaviour and 1 alleging assault. April. Police announce that they are reviewing Mr. Lubbock's death as part of routine procedure. March. Police issue a new appeal for information on the 6th anniversary of Mr. Lubbock's death. The Independent Police Complaints Commission also launches an inquiry into the original police investigations surrounding Mr. Lubbock's death. June. Barrymore and 2 other men are arrested and questioned on suspicion of seriously sexually assaulting and murdering Mr. Lubbock. They are later released without charge. February. The APCC publishes the findings of a review of the police investigation into Mr. Lubbock's death, including that officers missed crucial evidence and did not ensure vital forensic tests were completed until 6 years later. March. Police launch a fresh appeal for information over the death. December. Barrymore lodges an appeal for £2. £5 million damages after suing police who arrested him over Mr. Lubbock's death. August. A High Court judge rules Barrymore is entitled to more than nominal damages against Essex police over the wrongful arrest which he said destroyed his career. December. The Court of Appeal says Barrymore is entitled to nominal damages only, following an appeal by the police. February. A Channel 4 documentary about Mr. Lubbock's death prompts Barrymore to issue a fresh denial of any wrongdoing, saying, "I have had nothing to do with this whatsoever, and yet I keep getting bashed and bullied by the media." March. Terry Lubbock hints at the possibility of fresh evidence emerging, telling Pa, "I won't be surprised if someone cracks soon under all this pressure and decides to get it off their chest once and for all." On March the 17th, Essex police announces a 50-year-old man has been arrested in Cheshire in connection with Mr. Lubbock's murder and indecent assault. Speaking following news of an arrest today, Mr. Lubbock's father Terry, 76, said, "There is just so much going on in my head. I can't get my head around it. Of course I'm happy. Of course this is good news. But it's been 20 years. This has nearly killed me," he added. "I don't know anything about the man arrested, but the police let me know it had happened." "It's coming up to the 20th anniversary of my son Stuart's death, but the pain of losing him is still very strong. I've always said, I will continue to fight for justice until my last breath, and that's what I'm doing still." "I'm extremely ill with cancer. I've only got weeks to live, but I won't give up on Stuart until I die." Meanwhile, Harry Cliché, a friend of the Lubbock family, said, "I'm pleased. Of course this is progress. We can only hope it leads to justice for Stuart after all these years." Stuart's death in 2001 ended Mr. Barrymore's TV career at a time when he was one of Britain's most famous and highest paid stars. Within 3 years of the murder he was declared bankrupt and has barely worked again since, but has always denied having anything to do with Stuart's death. An Essex police spokesman said, "The man, who was arrested in Cheshire, remains in custody where he continues to be questioned." Stuart was found unconscious in the swimming pool of a property in Roydon on March 31, 2001. Despite attempts to save him, he later died in hospital. The 31-year-old had been attending a party at the house with 8 other people. A post-mortem examination found Stuart had suffered horrific anal injuries which are believed to be the result of a serious sexual assault prior to his death. Michael Barrymore was criticised for leaving his home soon after Mr. Lubbock was found floating in the outside pool of his £2 million home, which was sold for just £1. £4 million last year. The former television presenter, who lives in West London and became a household name for shows such as Strike It Lucky, has always denied involvement in the death. He was married to agent Cheryl Barrymore for 21 years, but revealed he was gay in August 1995 and split from his wife a year later. Barrymore was arrested on suspicion of rape and serious sexual assault in 2007, along with 2 other people. No charges were brought due to lack of evidence. Barrymore later launched a High Court case for £2. £4 million damages for wrongful arrest. He received a nominal sum after Essex police won an appeal. Last year, a Channel 4 documentary examined the events of the night Stuart died, including claims Mr. Barrymore was drunk and told a taxi driver who drove him to the party at his home, "I could do with her right now." The TV star has always denied any wrongdoing and claims he has been bashed and bullied ever since that fateful night, but Essex police insist Stuart was raped and murdered. The show went into gruesome detail about the father of 2's injuries and revealed his family's near 20 years of grief. The team behind Barrymore, Body in the Pools, were given access to Stuart's post-mortem photographs, but they were deemed too awful for TV, even after the watershed. After the documentary, Barrymore, 68, posted a video on Twitter in which he protested his innocence and offered his heartfelt sympathies to Mr. Lubbock's family. He said, "I have had nothing to do with this whatsoever, and yet I keep getting bashed and bullied by the media. My heartfelt sympathies are with the Lubbock family and I truly hope they find peace." He also said that Channel 4 bosses refused to show him the documentary, called Barrymore, The Body in the Pool, or tell him what is in it. Mr. Lubbock's father Terry, 75, accused Barrymore of crocodile tears. He said, "It's a joke, isn't it? I'm not buying it." Last year, Detective Chief Inspector Stephen Jennings, who is now in charge of the case, revealed that 2 items possibly used in the brutal assault on Mr. Lubbock, a pool thermometer and outhouse handle, went missing. The crime scene was not properly secured after his death, as officers at first assumed the factory worker had drowned. Mr. Jennings has also said it was likely at least 2 people were involved in the crime. The policeman said at the time, "I believe that he was raped and murdered that night." One or more of those party-goers are responsible for that serious sexual assault. The arrest comes just days after Stuart's father, Terry Lubbock, 76, said he had hopes that a witness with information might soon come forward to help the investigation. Terry Lubbock, who has terminal cancer, said some people who were at the party must be living under terrible pressure. He also said he wanted a coroner to oversee a new inquest into his son's death. A coroner recorded an open verdict after an inquest in 2002, and 3 years ago, the then Attorney General, Jeremy Wright, refused to give Mr. Lubbock the go-ahead to make an application to the High Court for a second inquest. But Mr. Lubbock, who lives in Harlow, said in January that he thought information must have emerged which justified a fresh inquiry by a coroner. Last year, Barrymore said he wanted another investigation into Mr. Lubbock's death by a new police force. The investigation has so far been carried out by Essex Police. The entertainer also told Good Morning Britain he is going through pain and agony due to the incident which effectively ended his mainstream television career. He also criticised Channel 4 over a programme aired last year called Barrymore, The Body in the Pool, which he described as vile and vicious. In an interview with Good Morning Britain in March last year, Barrymore spoke about the others at the party that night, saying, "I've never seen them since that day. I haven't got a number, nothing. I don't know any of them. The wall of silence is because they don't know." I do believe that. Asked if he had anything fresh to offer the police, he said, "I honestly wish I did," adding that he had been through 20 years of hell. "I haven't got another. I've only got the one story," he said. He said Mr. Lubbock's father Terry's torment comes before me and everybody, but added, "I can't live my life. I can't get on with my life." Responding to the criticism, a spokesperson for Channel 4 said at the time that Barrymore had been given a fair opportunity to respond to significant allegations and his position was fairly reflected in the documentary. Bosses behind the program said it aimed to piece together the perspectives of the Lubbock family as well as those of the detectives, forensic pathologists and eyewitnesses to explore what happened that night at Barrymore's Essex bungalow and the events that followed. Among the footage used was a recording of the original 999 call made after Mr. Lubbock was discovered in the pool. Speaking about the airing of the documentary in February last year, Terry Lubbock said, "This documentary is about the questions around what happened to my son, Stuart Lubbock. Finally, the story has become so distorted and confused over the years. So much has been said and written. It's time to put all the facts together in one place. Speaking about the release at the time, Channel 4 commissioning editor Alyssa Pomeroy said, "This film is a reflective piece that tells the story of an unexplained tragedy that unfolded in the glare of an unforgiving media. It sheds light on the complex relationship between celebrity, the criminal justice system and an all-powerful tabloid press in the early noughties, but, most of all, it's the deeply moving story of the Lubbock family's continuing quest for answers and justice, nearly 20 years on." The other 7 guests present on the night that Mr. Lubbock died, Kenny, 50, from Blackpool in Lancashire, was Barrymore's boyfriend at the time of Mr. Lubbock's death. He was formerly a drag queen, but more recently he had been working as a driving test examiner. Kenny, along with Barrymore, invited the other 7 guests over to the house after they partied together at the Millennium nightclub in Harlow, Essex. He was one of 3 people arrested on suspicion of murder by Essex police in 2007, before he was later released without charge. Former dustman Justin, 46, was unemployed when he went back to Barrymore's house along with his sister Killy. Reports from the time claimed Justin was an unofficial minder to the TV star during that night. He had walked up to Barrymore outside the nightclub earlier and said, "I'll look after you." "I'll be your security to get you home." Mr. Merrick claimed to have shared a jacuzzi with Mr. Lubbock and last saw him alive bombing in the pool and in high spirits. He, along with Barrymore and Kenny, were arrested on suspicion of murder before ultimately being released. Killy was Justin's sister and had been present with him in the nightclub when Justin had offered to be Barrymore's minder on the night. The siblings, along with Barrymore and Mr. Lubbock, shared a taxi back to the house. Miss Merritt would later claim that she had then seen Mr. Lubbock larking about by himself in the swimming pool. On another occasion, she said she saw Barrymore with 2 men in a small room near his bedroom door. She would also claim that Barrymore had produced cocaine on the night and had tried to rub the drug into my Lubbock's gums, something he denied. Ms. Merritt infamously took a lie detector test for the News of the World, which suggested she was not being truthful when questioned about what happened that day. Mr. Futers, 41, was a chef who lived near Barrymore in Roydon, Essex. He would tell the court how the TV star offered him white powder shortly after he arrived at the house for the party. Later he would add that he believed the drug to be cocaine. Mr. Futers had met Barrymore on several previous occasions to have a drink and play cards. He had been at the nightclub with Barrymore that night and had agreed to go back to his house for an impromptu gathering. Mr. Shaw had been invited to the party due to his friendship with Barrymore's neighbour Mr. Futers. During court testimony, he recounted how he spotted Mr. Lubbock in the pool and jumped in to help him. He said he tried to pull him up from the bottom of the pool, but found him too heavy, returning for breath before going back and successfully lifting him out. Mr. Shaw then left the home with Mr. Futers as he thought what happened was a bit scary and was joined by Barrymore. They all went back to Mr. Shaw's house, where they spoke about what had occurred, while Barrymore made phone calls to his PR man. Miss Jones, a 17-year-old cashier at the time, and her friend Kelly Campbell, both now 37, had only met Barrymore hours early at the nightclub, when they were invited back for the party. She would later tell police how she saw Barrymore rummaging through drawers and changing his clothes before police arrived. Miss Jones also told police that when Barrymore left the house he had a bundle of material under his arm.